on this computer. All right, everybody, welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. We are so happy to be kicking off 2023. And you know, that's like it's the second part of our year of the artist. And so much is happening and so much is going to be happening over the coming months. I'm preparing for it. I'm like, you know, preparing like when your storms come in or the wind or which is always, you know, it can be, it's, I don't want to make it a negative thing. It's a very, very good thing. But you brace yourself, or a wave. I love playing in the ocean. So when that big wave's coming and you're prepared for it, you're, you know, kind of getting your feet in. That's what it's going to feel like, I think. So we have got a plan laid out for our first set. Now, even though we've got a plan, we've got our YOTA Tuesdays kind of sketched out between now and March, kind of the winter months. There will be some changes in it. There always are a change or two, but we wanted to make sure that we had a path laid out. And this is why we plan, so that we can go away from the plan as well when we need to. But if we have a plan, it's going to drive us, and we're going to get to continue this rhythm. I kind of missed the last couple of weeks when we weren't getting together, so I was looking forward to tonight. And we're going to start tonight off with a little bit of just a quote. This is going to kind of prime us for some conversation later. And this is a quote that we've shown before, and it's kind of guiding us throughout this whole process. And it's an Angela Davis quote. It was in Vanity Fair, I think, in an interview, maybe in September of 20. And
Doug,
yeah.
Are you meant to be showing your presentation?
Can you not see it?
I can just see the like general screen, like with all the slides.
Oh, yeah, let's see.
I see the individual slide. You just have the welcome so far.
Yeah, it's got a quote, the Angela Davis slide. Can you see that?
No,
I have the welcome.
we just have welcome.
You know what? Let me just stop the share and I'll start it again, and that will usually fix it. Oh, they were great slides, by the way. You really missed them. They probably weren't anything that extraordinary. Okay, and sometimes it'll do that. Can you see that now? Okay, so this is Talia's work, and a lot of you know Talia. And in my mind, it's art that can begin to make us feel what we don't necessarily understand. In my mind, it's art that can begin to make us feel what we don't necessarily understand. So part of this getting out there, rolling our sleeves up, engaging is, you know, a way to make us feel what art can do that we may not even understand yet, how it can work. So our question for later on, and I'm priming it, I wanted to give you some time to think about it, is, so what do you want to feel over the next 5 months as we're continuing? And it goes beyond the 5 months as well, but this is our real kind of contained experimentation phase. So what do you want to feel? If art can make you begin to feel what you don't necessarily understand. And so just put that in the back of your mind, and we'll revisit it and see if anybody has any thoughts about that in a little bit. Okay, we're going to start as we always do. A little catch up. We've got a little space set aside for 3 updates. They can be reflections on something that's happened recently, something you've learned, or kind of a way you've been inspired. Does anybody have anything to share to get us started off? Charlie, it looks like you're talking. Do you want to come off of mute? I think you might still be on mute.
Now I am.
Yes, yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I don't see very well. I delivered a sculpture to Augusta, Georgia for their public art Riverwalk program, and I was interviewed there by a person who she runs an online news service called Augusta Good News. And she had been a reporter for 30 years for the regular newspaper there. And she said she decided to quit and do something else because she so often got people asking her, why don't you report the good news? And so she decided to just dedicate herself to that. And I kind of, felt like there was a resonance between what she decided to do and what the kind of art that we're talking about doing. And what she was doing was a form of art. So I just wondered, is there anybody doing something like that in Roanoke? And if not, I'd welcome them to try it. And then one thing that's connected with that is I subscribe to David Byrne's thing that he posts weekly, Reasons to be Cheerful. And he gathers good news from all over the world. But she does it in this local way. And I thought that's a great sort of comeback to the lack of our local reporting and the kind of repetition of all of the big stories every day by everybody. Anyway, that's what I discovered this week.
Yeah, I think that's terrific. And I don't know that someone's really necessarily met that niche yet, and we're seeing that all over the country, right? As there's that change in print media, and we've got the Cardinal News here that's focused on Southwest and Southern Virginia and East
Right.
Southern Virginia, kind of the rural parts, but it's more harder news, and they're intentionally not doing this kind of news.
Right.
Yeah. And I love you mentioned David Byrne. David Lynch does a little thing too. He does the weather every day, a little
Oh, yeah.
maybe a 2-minute snip where he talks about the weather in Los Angeles and then introduces a song he's thinking about on the public radio station. And you wouldn't think he'd be that cheerful and kind of generous in spirit, but he is, and it's a nice little touch. Does anybody know of anything like that that's happening locally?
I dropped a plug for the Roanoke Rambler. I don't know if it counts as like positivity news, but another local news agency.
Yeah, and he's been trying to do some kind of literary pieces as well. So not which is certainly art and creative, and can be positive. Yeah. Thanks, Amanda. Yeah. All right. Who's got something else?
I've got something to share.
Great. Go ahead.
I'm going to make a piece of art. No, and it sounds so funny, but I promote art. I sell art. I curate art. I have 1,000 square foot studio. We make fabricated art. I don't make any art. So I have this box, right? And I have this, right? And then I have 2 birds' nests from up at the barn, which is one hair from the horses only. And then this pretty little thing. And then I have a bunch of snake skins. And I've got an idea and I'm going to do it. It might take me all year, but this is the year that I am going to produce at least one piece of art. Thank you.
Excellent. I hear that vision, and then the commitment to act on the vision. Yeah.
It's important. I spend too much time in the computer talking about art, and not enough time getting my hands gluey. So I'm ready.
Awesome. That's inspiration right there.
So I have something to add.
Great, Vicki.
So I'm actually out in Michigan visiting my mom right now. It's a long haul. I drove a long way she's 93. But before I left, I had the opportunity and secured an interview with Brian from Habitat for Humanity. And that went really, really well. We spent an hour just talking together about the issues that they might come across with housing. And I actually wondered if there was a family that I could possibly get to know a little bit in terms of my painting. And so he had one person in mind she's a single mom with a daughter, who had the opportunity to move into one of their homes. We're also going to work out so that I can come on site at some point so I can see exactly what they're doing. And I'm working on one of the Art Matters grants that is conducive with the homeless and correlated, I should say, with the homeless and then the housing in Roanoke at large. So I'm really excited about this opportunity. And as soon as I get back from Michigan, God willing, no snowstorms. Although West Virginia was pretty windy. That was an interesting trip through the mountains up there. It was really almost worse than the mountains in Roanoke going over the hill there, but they had plows out and I managed to get through. So back to the other thing though, I'm really excited about it and we're going to follow through when I get back from my trip. And I'm really looking forward to making that connection. So that's it.
Great. Thanks, Vicki. Appreciate that update. So that was 3 updates that got us off to a really good start. And I'm going to do this little refresher, and I've done some more thinking about what we're doing now, and I want to share that. This is really important to me, and I think to us, in that we're planning something and we're creating something, and we do have to talk about what we're doing. We have to talk about it with ourselves, between ourselves, amongst ourselves, so that we understand what we're doing. You know, a lot of times we get out there and do things and you have to kind of step back and process it. And you know how it is, especially like in a creative pursuit, you don't necessarily know what you're doing until you do it. And then you kind of surprise yourself. So I do want to think a little bit more about what we're doing. And that's what we're going to do the first part of tonight. And then we're going to dig into our calls that we've got open and kind of run through what's going to happen over the next few months. And then have a chance for you all to ask questions of each other and kind of dig in a little bit. Okay, so you remember the Year of the Artist. We're advancing community goals by integrating artists in civic problem solving. And so over this year, we're saying, okay, we're going to experiment and explore. We're going to pay artists. We're strengthening this network. We're getting to know each other better. We're bringing new people into the network. We're making it larger and we're making it stronger. I'm really focusing. I'm gaining so much from the relationships that at least I feel like I'm building with you all. We're connecting. And I hope we're having fun exploring things with that sense of play. And we're building the learning community. Well, that's what it's all adding up to, is that learning community. Now, also these projects, we're piloting that ongoing artist in residence program. So we've got 11 artists in residence who are digging in that way. We're shaping new pathways for projects, and we're doing that across the Arts Commission, and these are helping us. Like when Charlie wanted to put the benediction project in, it sparked conversations with transportation, with the attorneys, with engineering, and as we do these projects, every one of them. And I saw today as someone put out a list across on our national kind of email forum and asked if what communities had policies around these kind of projects, how communities address them. And I feel like we're getting some pathways to get these projects happening faster and have a structure for artists or neighborhoods or leaders to say, hey, I've got an idea, I've got a project, how can we do it? So I think we're starting to try and figure out how to make that happen faster. And then we're training and supporting a network of artists as agents of neighborhood and community development. And this is really significant. The conversations we're having here, every time I talk to somebody from planning or the city manager's office, across any of the departments, people are really interested in it because neighborhood services. I met with Antoine Calloway last week, and he's like, we're going to be like this because there's so much that we're doing through the arts that each of these departments see is relevant, important, meaningful, and going to help us achieve our goals as a city. So the process. So we funded 71 artists to date. That includes the self-portrait project. So 71 contracts, 71 different contracts with different artists, at least, well, more than that contract wise, but working with 71 artists. So far, we've done 28 of these conversations. They're not really training sessions. We're doing some training in them, but I think they're more conversations. And I hope that we are able to create a structure that these continue in some fashion, even after the Year of the Artist. We funded 30 projects, advancing the City Plan 2040 goals, around interwoven equity and the healthy community, the two of those goals, goal areas in the city plan. And then we've partnered with more than a dozen departments and agencies in this greater arts integration. And I feel like that process, we're just really kind of getting started. But that engagement process we are doing the engagement for our next arts and cultural plan. The last arts and cultural plan was done in 2012. So it's definitely time to do a new arts and cultural plan. When we get going, we're going to be able to do this pretty quickly, I think, because all of the work that we're doing now is a foundation for it. And I've been doing a lot of thinking too, around the kind of planning, and there are lots of conversations about, especially among planners and as communities are trying to undertake goals like the interwoven equity goal of City Plan 2040, and ask, like, how can you plan? How can you plan with those outcomes in mind? When planning and has been part of the problem. I think planners get into it, kind of city planners or regional planners get into it because their heart's really in it. And they want to create places that work for people. But there's a status quo and there are policies in place that don't treat everybody the same. We've had federal policies. When you look, back at, from redlining, I just saw the article in the paper the other day about there was a bank in California that just had a big fine because they're still redlining. These things are still out there and they're institutionalized. So given that, how do we address them through planning? And there is a school of thought that projects like what we're doing now, where we're putting resources in people's hands in the community, where it's closer to the community, where we're acting in a different way instead of stopping and saying, okay, let's do a 10-year plan and let's see what the arts can do for us, and we'll fund this, 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 and this. If we did that, it would have been more of what we've done before in the past. So that's why this experimentation is really important. And we're doing it with small amounts of money, but I think it can still be really helpful. And then we're continuing to build and support a network that can mobilize and work together beyond this. And that's critical. That's community development. So if we had a crisis come into, these things, that's how we really test these kind of networks, right? When something happens. But I think that we don't have to wait for a crisis. We should be ready. This is community resiliency as well. And we can create it through the arts. The more we're out in neighborhoods and getting people working together on projects, which is where we're headed, it can do really meaningful work. So with that, that was kind of a little bit of that was part of these sessions are really important to me because it makes me sit down and think a little bit about where we are. So in my mind, it's art that can be in to make us feel what we don't necessarily understand. And the question now for conversation is, so what do you want to feel over the next 5 months? What do you want to feel over the next 5 months? And with that, let me stop that share for a second and just hear from folks.
Do you want us to tell you or write it in the chat?
Let's why don't you go and tell us for a little bit? And then if somebody, you can do it either way, but it'd be great to have somebody go ahead and start talking. And if folks are more comfortable typing in the chat, please type it in the chat. But
Okay, so what I would like to feel is I would like to feel really excited about what I'm doing, which I am, but even more so as I progress into investigating the different aspects of this project that I'm working on. So also in terms of what I'm bringing to the project, mine is kind of three-pronged in that I'm engaged in creating art, creating music, and interviewing process, so it incorporates writing as well. Those are three areas that I'm really excited about, that I've always been excited about, but I've never really put three of those together into one art piece. So I guess my big thing in the next 5 months would be to not feel overwhelmed, because I am taking on a lot, but to also feel very optimistic that I can do this in the given amount of time, and to explore new ways of thinking to bring to the public in terms of housing and the homeless and some of the issues that Roanoke is dealing with right now.
yeah, that the way you just said that you don't want to feel overwhelmed, and housing as an issue can feel overwhelming initially, period. It is everywhere across the country. I just heard today or read an article, in Colorado. Yeah, in Colorado, the Department of Transportation there is building homes now, which they're building homes for, they need homes for their own staff. So instead of like increasing salaries, they're actually building homes because there aren't enough homes for people to live in. That's a big issue, and that can feel overwhelming. But then you take it on a lot with both, the writing, the music, and the art. And I've observed you already and worked with you on the self-portrait project, and I'm confident that you can do it. Yeah.
Oh, I'll pull it off, but it's just right now I feel like I guess a few months can go by really fast. So right now I'm just in the information gathering stage, but pretty soon I have to transition into, well, I have done a little bit of transition in that I've taken notes, and I've actually created some harmonica music to go along with the art. And I have basically three pretty solid ideas. Ultimately, I'm going to do 6, but I just want to make sure that I structure my time properly, and that's my biggest concern. Trying to structure my time in such a way that I'm not all of a sudden trying to pull off 6 paintings in June or something. So.
All right. Thanks, Vicki.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Anybody else? Catherine.
Hey, I think I can speak for myself and for a lot of people who are not great at speaking. I think one of the things that I find that's been wonderful to be, highlighting artists, but I'm also feeling like I'm often very challenged to put into words things that I'm feeling, things that I'm understanding. So I want to feel more confident about that. And I want to feel like we are not just focusing on the people with the loudest voices. I really want to help include people who are thoughtful people, or people who might be lingering on the edges of this conversation, but not always the first ones to speak. So I'm kind of speaking for them. But I also want to share this. This is my visual thinking book, and it's by Temple Grandin. And I really want to I would be really happy if we could end feeling like we've created something that created a sense of belonging. I've always resisted using the term art community because I feel like it should just be community. The artists are part of the community. And when you even use the terms that separate people out, it's kind of like creates division instead of connection. So I think maybe that's my one word, is connection.
Excellent.
I'm going to echo that, Catherine. That's mine too. Connection, feeling a greater sense of connectivity with people in our community and more.
I'm gonna third that one. I'm feeling really busy and doing all kinds of wonderful things all by myself. Not seeing friends. I'm not making art with friends. I have this 1,000 square foot studio in Bent Mountain that's absolutely gorgeous, completely ready and stuffed with art supplies for sharing. And so I'm gonna put myself out there too. And right there. I might even send it to Doug so he can send, I have an idea. It's called, it's gonna be an art salon, art problem. And whatever that is, whether it's we wanna make art together, wanna discuss something, this medium doesn't work with that, or just sit there quietly and watch other people make art. But I need to see other humans because I see not enough.
I love it. That-
To be around other people and make art together.
That's great. You started to cut out a little bit, Liz, but I think everybody got that. And I saw some heads nodding and some smiles. So yeah, definitely put that out. Amanda, you've turned your camera on. You have something?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm interested in kind of two things simultaneously this year, which is balance and exploration. So like, how do you maintain your balance and your groundedness while you're reaching outside of your comfort zone and reaching to other people? And so, yeah, those are my thoughts for the coming year.
Excellent. I love the having that the intention or the thought or the thing that's hanging there with you this year. Yeah, equanimity mine this year. That's and I'm not sure I even know what it all means, but that's what I'm exploring personally. Yeah. Charlie.
Yeah, the quote from Angela Davis, I think, said something about that you haven't felt before, right? And I'm not sure about that, but before I've always enjoyed feeling useful. So that's also what I'm looking for again, is that sense that something that I did was of use to somebody else. To me, that's a feeling that I need to feel over and over again. It's not, maybe I feel it differently for different reasons, but it's the same thing as what I'm often looking for, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the quote's like to feel what you don't necessarily understand.
Yeah, right.
So it's almost like there's
And I often don't, it doesn't happen because of something that I did deliberately, but it's something that afterwards I thought, oh, that felt good, you know, because you don't know where it's going to come from.
yeah, yeah. And somehow cognitively, I don't know, I probably talked myself out of the very things that would make me feel what I want to feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Catherine, Catherine Schnabel.
Yeah, I would like to feel a sense of satisfaction. And I say that because all these activities and conversations and powerful moments in people, I have become aware for me personally that there's many layers of motivation for being a visual artist. That's, what I would do. So one, making money, another one, expressing some great thought, another one, community and art and development. And I would like to just grasp that sense of satisfaction just for the pure making of it without any other context attached to it. Or, I'm not saying anything's good or bad about it. It's just so interesting that I would just like to just have that satisfaction of I just made that and perhaps I'll put it in the closet now, or I don't know, maybe I won't, I don't know. But to move beyond all the other essences of motivation that swirl around, I'm seeing that. I'm curious about it.
So that's satisfaction from the actual product.
Yeah, from just making it without any other thing attached. So I'm looking forward to that.
Great, great. All right, anybody else before we advance? All right, well, I'm going to share the screen again. Okay, so part of what I've been thinking about, I read, and I was talking to Katie about this, Adrienne Marie Brown's emergent strategy. And it really has resonated with me. And I feel like it's reinforcing what we're already doing. It's nice to see some of that kind of some language out there. And we might do a book club. I might put that out there this spring around this book. But some of the principles, and there are lots of different, there's so much more in the book than this, but I did want to run through just some of the principles because it helps me reinforce it as well in my own thinking. So principles of emergent strategy, which is really a very adaptive approach and a way of, instead of that kind of top-down planning, like I said, kind of getting in there and getting some resources in people's hands and then seeing what emerges. But small is good, or small is all. Change is constant. There's always time for the right work. There is a conversation in the room that only these people at this moment can have. Find that conversation. Never a failure, always a lesson. Trust the people, and then move at the speed of that trust. This one I love. Less prep, more presence. Less prep, more presence. And then what you pay attention to grows. And I think this refers back to Catherine's, the loudest voices in the room. Sometimes, especially in a public setting, it's often the kind of loudest voices that are against something. And they get a lot of attention, but we focus on our deficits and we think, oh, we can't do it because we need X. We need X, but we have Y and Z. So why aren't we paying attention to Y and Z? At any rate, so those are just some small thoughts to keep advancing us. Now, I love that word connect. I love it. And this year we gave an ARPA grant to, we gave it to the Roanoke Cultural Endowment. But before we did that, Bruce Bryan worked with the arts and cultural organizations. And we said, okay, if we're putting all this ARPA money out there, is there a way that we can start to talk about the arts collectively in the community? And we came up with this small, Arts Connect. And so the Arts Connect Roanoke, or the arts, the different ways the arts connect us. And it's become a bit of our organizing structure. And we're right now doing 6 Buzz for Good episodes on public television around the way the arts are connecting us in the community. And we did 2 on the arts pop, looking at all the arts and cultural organizations. We did one on the healing arts. It was really powerful. We're releasing one tomorrow night. If you're available at 6:30, you can come at 6 o'clock to the Grandin Theater. At 6:30 is going to be the showtime. It's going to be the watch party for the arts and education episode. So looking specifically at Roanoke Public Schools and all the arts opportunities there and the way they're using those. And the kids who are in the episode, there's gonna be a red carpet for them, and they're gonna be a little Oscar statuettes, and we're gonna have our big arts wheel. But so the school's looking at it and saying the arts are a way to connect young people to a safe environment, to a healthy environment. Especially in the after school hours, the arts, if you can get the kids engaged in the arts and sports are, 2 of the things that they're really focused on. So this on the screen there, this is what we're thinking is going to be pretty much be the structure of our arts and cultural plan. And there's that word, Catherine Devine, belonging. So equity and belonging being one of the key ways the arts are connecting us. Health and well-being. These being the two areas from City Plan 2040 that are newer in this plan, that really deserve a lot more attention that had been given. Then education and lifelong learning, strong neighborhoods and places, economic and community development, and local and regional identity. And we're going to be doing two more of the arts and the Arts Connect in the Arts Connect series that are on that Buzz for Good. The next one is going to be on economic and community development. So more on the economic development side. And I think it's going to be kind of cool. We're working on it now. And then the next one is going to be about the work we're doing here. It's going to be on the community arts initiatives and the way we're using the arts to make the community a better place. So, and then we'll do that one in the spring. But as we're looking at those and we start to kind of lay out the ways we're experimenting, the work we're doing here is all part of this, as I said. So, you know, and I'll just talk about a little bit about what we've been doing over the last few years. So the Roanoke Arts Commission partnered with the Taubman Museum of Art and the Roanoke Cultural Endowment, and we've done trainings in adaptive leadership. And we also did a round, kind of a 3-part series training program with diversity, equity, and inclusion, where we asked board members of organizations, executive directors to come as a team. And we did kind of cultural equity planning. So, and we took that and we wove it into the work plan for the Arts Commission. And then the Art in Place is a way that we're working with our Percent for Art Fund, where a neighborhood, an artist in the community, or a neighborhood leader can say, hey, here is a piece of infrastructure, public infrastructure, and look at how bad it looks. We can make it look better with some art, you know, and you can think about a mural or who knows what it might be. But there's never really been a pathway for that before, where we could invest public dollars in a residence or an artist idea. So that's what we've been exploring. And because if we can get that out there, you know, not everybody feels they have access to the city decision makers or to city structures. And that's what we're trying to increase and improve, is that access. The Art Matters grants are all about that as well. And the Artist in Residence initiatives. We listed the YOTA, the Year of the Artist training as well. As part of, I think we're all kind of focused on belonging and how people feel connected in the community. The Welcoming Week, we participate in Welcoming Week each year as the Arts Commission, and that's a cool initiative. This year, the Arts Commission, we gave a grant to Blue Ridge Literacy, who is working with English language learners, and they've developed a curriculum, and they've been going out to the opera and the symphony and the Taubman Museum of Art, and they're learning, you know, not only about those spaces in our community and what happens there, but language around the art form. They've been exploring our sculpture in the community, but that's been a really, really terrific initiative for us as well. And that's the kind of thing we want to keep doing, because we're trying these things out this year. That's what we hope we're going to build into this next plan. So all of this is to say thank you for the work that you're doing and the conversations. They really are helping us do some important work in the community. So let me see. Are there any questions on that or any thoughts? And I have to give a shout out to Helen Dean, who is on these calls and is Arts Commission member, and she's on, let's see, Helen, you're on the collections committee, right? You might still.
Sorry.
Helen, do you have anything to add to what I've said?
No, I just think it's great, and it seems like we are just a lot more active in our community than what we've ever been, and that's the feedback that I get from this.
And I feel like we just had an Arts Commission meeting today, and I think we ended it saying, yeah, I think we're just getting started. Yeah. Additionally, so in these categories too, this is what we're putting out to the arts and culture organizations, even like, the symphony or the museums, and festivals. We're saying, hey, how can you help us advance this? So we're doing the same thing with them that we are with the artists. So we're saying, here's our plan. How are you helping us get there? All right. And then with that, let's talk about what's coming up ahead. So this weekend, the Roanoke Regional Writers Conference is back. And this is a terrific event. We're really excited about it. And it's just a nice kind of feel-good space. There's a fee for it. I think it's like $70 or whatnot. But that is happening this weekend. We're going to be there. We're doing a small panel discussion with 3 of our past writers by bus. And I'm not sure if you all know about this project. This is by Ride Solutions, and we partner with them and Valley Metro. And we, each year in the past, I think we've done it for 5 years now. We had to take a hiatus during the pandemic because no one was riding the buses, and they didn't, it wasn't the time for it. And the funding has changed on the Ride Solutions side a little bit. So the Arts Commission approved today that we're going to use an Art Matters grant, a small Art Matters grant as a specific call to for a writer on the bus. And this is one of 3 parts that we usually do by Art by Bus. There's writing, there's music, and then there's visual art. So we'll wrap the bus in visual art, and we're going to look at that in September for Transit Month. And then in the past, we've hired musicians to ride on the Star City line, the trolley line, and play music during Transit Month. And then the Writer by Bus, it's $1,000 stipend, and you're getting the first word about it here. It's not, I haven't even written the call yet. So I've got it sketched out a little bit. We've got approval for it to do it, but it's going to be $1,000 stipend. The artist gets passes to ride the bus for a month. And during that time, they create a body of work that then gets published in a chapbook. And we've had several volumes of poetry, we've had essays, and we've had short fiction done. And it can be anything. We've had plays proposed. We've had playwrights proposed to do it before. They just haven't been selected in the process yet. Who knows what else might be out there, but the committee is usually pretty open, but there does have to be kind of a literary aspect to it. So that's the Writer by Bus. We're going to announce that this weekend. And if anybody's interested in doing it, we are encouraging and prompting with the Justice, Wellness, and Inclusion prompt that we used for the Art Matters grant overall. So that's coming. Next week, our YOTA Tuesday is going on the road, and at the Roanoke Academy of Math and Science. And that there's going to be a Eureka Park input session. And seen in the picture here is Robin Mitchell at the first input session at Melrose Library. And we're inviting artists to come intentionally, come on out. You might even be put to work if you're interested in that. And I think it should be a good session. The architects, it's been interesting. The architecture team, or the team of architects they've got some draft plans. They're starting to put some ideas out there. They're getting feedback. And Robin and Katie Slusher, the lead planner for Parks and Recreation, are really putting together a good plan and trying to be thoughtful about how are we getting people, getting their ideas, getting them comfortable and providing input. And one of the first things you feel like when you do this, especially given the past, is, do people trust that the city's going to actually do something and do invest in the plan? The money's there. It's a long road in developing a project like this, but it should be a really interesting meeting. So please, if you're available, come on out to the Eureka Park input session on the 24th, and the address is on the webpage for the meetings. The Elmwood Art Walk, that call is due January 27th. And if you have any questions about it, I talked to an artist today who's out there, like who's considering it, a local artist. So I hope folks are thinking about it. Charlie Brower's work's out there right now. That's due January 27th. We are going to do a facilitation training. There are going to be a couple of opportunities coming up for kind of the participatory decision-making process. Katie's going to do a session during a YOTA Tuesday coming up. We're also going to do a day-long training. If anyone is interested in it, I'm kind of exploring this. I'm thinking this might be a requirement in the next round of artist in residence. And this is I've done this a number of times. It is a fun day. It's hands-on. If you would like to be more comfortable in helping a group through decision-making processes, we call it group to goal, facilitating community development processes. And we've been doing it for a decade now. I just did it last week with a regional commission in New River Valley. But it'll be tailored. And really what I like to focus on is mining group wisdom. So how do you get the most out of a group with the kind of the understanding when you go into it? Most groups have everything they need. But sometimes it's a little bit of how do you encourage them to share with each other, to form as a group? How do you help them through those kind of stages of group development? So we're going to spend a day. I'll buy lunch. We'll have pizza or something there available. We'll figure that out. It's going to be at Mountain View, at the Mountain View Recreation Center, the Fishburne Mansion. And I think I'm going to cap it probably at 15 people. And I'm putting it out to artists first. There's a registration online. I'll send out a note to folks. Probably send out maybe early next week, or maybe even later, maybe even Friday. I'll send out a separate newsletter list with all the opportunities coming up with the registration links and such. So we'll put it out to artists first, and then if we've got space, we might invite in some of our partners in the city as well. This is going to help us think. We've been doing a lot of thinking. I'm applying for some more grants coming up before the middle of February. I've got 2 grants due, and they're all kind of around about this next stage of building neighborhood capacity through art projects and artists, like community-driven, artist-led. Community-driven, artist-led. That's our mantra on that. So that's going to be on February 4th. It's a Saturday. It'll be from 9:30 to 3:30. The River's Edge mural, February 7th, that call's due. And I know I've got some folks out there looking at that as well. Then Roanoke Arts Pop. If there are any grantees, any Art Matters grantees or artists in residence who want to have be there at Roanoke Arts Pop, I also have a sign up form ready to go for this. And there will be a slot if you want to come and engage with people. We're looking for hands-on activities that are kind of arts-based. And we did this. This is the 3rd time we've done Roanoke Arts Pop, and last year was terrific. We take the big wheel and spin it and get people engaged with it. But if you want to be part of it and be at a table and share the work that you're doing, we'll get that set up. And then the Daisy Art Parade. So I saw Polly, they put out her a mask she's working on. And Polly's not on tonight, but did everybody see that Polly was recognized from the SCLC, the Roanoke Valley chapter, yesterday or at their MLK Day annual luncheon, they gave her an award for her neighborhood and community building efforts, which is really well deserved. And so this is the calendar of events, and just to highlight some of the things. Catherine Schnabel's got a session on February 7th, and the registration's up for that. And Catherine, do you want to say a little bit about what that's going to be? Oh, you're on mute. Is it, you're still on mute. There you go.
Okay, that did it. Okay, sorry about that. It's the second of my 3 Art Matters workshops for my grant. And this one's just about some strategies and some tools and some new ways of thinking we will look at for times when we're stuck or frustrated on a project, if we're unsettled by a life event, if we are weighed down a little bit, how these things can benefit us perhaps, and just to look at some challenges differently. So it'll be hands-on, some good discussion. It's in person at Art on First, and it's going to be good. So please come, please join in. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And if there's room, I'm going to sneak in there, but the priority goes to the artist.
We'll make room for you.
And then March 7th, let's see, February 28th, this is Katie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure
You want to
about
talk a little bit
that.
about what that's going to be?
Yeah, Mo McGonigal of LEAP and myself are going to be talking about the intersections of local food and local art. Mo and I both support the Roanoke Food Shed Network, so really being able to kind of combine these 2 networks that I stand in between, and really just bring artists into the conversation of food and folks who are doing food systems work into the conversation of the arts community. And Amanda McGee's also involved in the Roanoke Food Shed Network. So we already have this crossover that's happening quite naturally in our community in so many ways.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to explore that and uncover even more of those intersections and connections. March 7th, we're going to focus on neighborhood center development. This emerging neighborhood centers plan that the city council approved it in December. And I think next year, our artist in residence program is really going to focus on those neighborhood centers. So we're going to go ahead and start the conversation about those. And of course, we've got Polly, who's been working directly with that plan process. And Brian's been doing the work in Southeast with the drop-in art engagement sessions. And I think we're going to have some good, this is a kind of a very, very natural area of interest for folks, whether we're talking about development of properties, if we're talking about arts as energizers, like art activities as energizers, or art interventions as energizers, talking about development of properties, equity. It all comes together in these neighborhood conversations. So we're going to get that started this winter as well. And then let's see, Katie, you want to talk again about your finding agreement?
Yeah, we're going to meet in person and explore ways of moving through participatory decision-making processes. So maybe similar themes to what's going to be happening in the facilitation training, but a little bit more focused on just some different formats for decision-making that you can use. So yeah, would love to have you all come join. Feel free to email me if you have any questions.
And I'm excited about that one. And then, like I said, you might see something change somewhere in here. Pedro, and it might be on that March 7th. We'll see how it ends up working. Pedro is going to do a little conversation with us about Dance Espanol and the way that he's developed that and the work that does with 4th graders in the schools. And then on March 22nd, we're going to have a field trip. Anybody who wants to go to Berglund Center to see Dance Espanol. I've been a couple of times and I don't want to miss it. It is it is super inspiring, seeing all these young people on stage dancing. And what's even more inspiring is just their families go crazy. They're just everybody, it's just such a good spirit, and people are cheering and applauding. In my head, they're throwing roses at the stage. I don't know if they really are, but that's what it feels like. So we're going to do some behind the scenes with Pedro about that. And then when we go see it, it's going to be even more meaningful about the work and how he works with the students in the elementary schools. And that's it. So let me close this off and see if anybody has any questions for each other, just kind of conversation points or anything you want to explore in our last few minutes.
I have an invitation. I'm doing a call for art in Czech, Virginia. There's a beautiful building, an old historic bank that would have been torn down unless this amazing man who's super sweet restored the whole building, and it's got a whole brick side. And so my husband, who's a fine artist, Cameron Stallings, teacher at Lucy Addison Middle, art teacher, is looking for someone to collaborate with in creating a piece of art on this building in the spring. So if anybody would like to send their portfolio and would like to be considered for collaborating on this beautiful piece of art, you can email me at rubystar, RUBYSTAR, arts, ARTS.liz@gmail. So it's rubystararts, plural, .liz@gmail. Please, or anyone that you want to share it with. Yeah.
Excellent. I talked to somebody today who was looking for an art partner. So I might pass it on to her. Yeah. Great. Anything else? Who else got something?
Doug, whenever I have like actual event dates, do I just send them to you?
Sure, you can send them to me. Samantha's on the call. Usually if they come just to me, I forward them on to Samantha. Samantha does a great job with the newsletter. That I thought about Samantha when Charlie mentioned the good news too. So Samantha's gathering all the good news, and I think still going to do some podcasts. So she might be talking to people about being being recorded as well. But Samantha is catching the good news in the next 5 months, and she's already started. Olivier's doing some illustrations around the good news of the work that you all are doing, and it's going to be pulled together in something cool. Right, Samantha?
Right. Yes. Still thinking about podcasts, definitely for sure. And talking to folks, but I do send out that newsletter every week. And if you all are not getting it, definitely send your email to myself and say, hey, I want to be on the newsletter, or add it to the newsletter list, or Doug, and I'll put my email in the chat right now too. But yeah, we try and capture some of those good news, like just the good things that are going on, awards that people are getting, and recognition for the hard work that they've been doing. So it's kind of that, and also trying to send out calls and things that other people in the community are doing. So if you have an event that is coming up and it's at all arts related, send it to me and I'll put it in there.
And then she's been also doing some spotlights. She's been spotlighting the muralists who are part of the Grandin. Oh, that's coming up too. I should mention that. This is the Grandin Village mural project. She spotlighted those. I think probably this week, next week, there is a new video of Julia talking about her her self-portrait project. So that's going to be on there, and I love it. Yeah, you did a great job with that. Yeah.
I actually want to. I need more artists to do the artist talks for the self-portrait project. So I kind of want, if you, Liz, I know I talked to you about your husband maybe being one of the guest artists, but I really like to know who we have so I can throw it out there and let people know. But everybody come. I mean, it's such an amazing exhibit. If you haven't had a chance to see it recently, to kind of reflect on it, but it's in the, as you know, the first, I guess you call it the first floor, is it right? Of the
Yeah.
municipal building. And because it's open and the building's open in the evening, we really want to invite people to come. So learn about the Sister City project, but at the same time, also go down and meet some of the artists. And I want to give another shout out for Bryce Cobbs. He was one of our guest artists, and he talked about, going to Patrick Henry, learning from Fletcher Nichols that he was, got the art bug from him, wasn't interested in art at all, and recently got that amazing commission to do the drawing for the Henrietta Locke sculpture, which was national news. So I just really want to thank him for participating. But you guys come, it's so cool to get to know a little bit more about each of us. Julia was one of my guests, and just to be able to know what went into the background of those self-portraits is really inspiring.
And I should have called out that specifically because the Tuesday, the 21st, we're going to have, that's the next one. And our YOTA Tuesday will be there at 6 o'clock.
Yeah. So we want to, I appreciate everyone who's come. It really makes the artists feel nice to be, have an opportunity to talk about their work. And I know everyone's busy, but if you can put that on your calendar and make the trip down there, I don't think you'll regret it.
Yeah, and it does look, the art looks great down there. Bryce also, I just saw his he's done a rendering. He has an Art Matters grant he's working with Berglund Center, and he's doing kind of a mural size painting, and it's fantastic. It's focused on the neighborhood connection, again that word connection, neighborhood connections, honoring the people who lived in the community. Miss Ross, who held out on selling her property there. Berglund Center is a product of urban renewal. How do we address that history now? And they've been gathering stories from the elders in the community, and then Bryce has painted this mural of the elders in the community. So I think it's going to be terrific. Anybody else? All right. Well, with that, I'm going to say thank you all.